Hi guys, I'm Yaka from Design by Life. Today marks the launch of my brand new interview series, Mindset Matters in Life and Business. I'll be interviewing thought leaders and inspiring people who have encountered mindset related challenges in their lives or businesses and successfully pivoted their experiences into something amazing. Today we'll be talking about mindfulness and how some simple tools like deep breathing can help you overcome mindset blocks and assist with overwhelm. And who better to have this conversation with than Rachael Kable, a mindfulness mentor, workshop facilitator, blogger, and a host of her podcast, The Mindful Kind. Welcome, Rachael.
Hello, so lovely to speak with you today.
Great to have you. Thank you so much. Let's jump straight into it. Could you please tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So, hello everybody. I'm Rachael Kable. I'm a mindfulness mentor. I work with beautiful women to help them create really meaningful mindfulness practices. I'm also a blogger, so I've got my blog over at my website, and I write a lot about mindfulness and different kinds of tools and techniques. I also have my podcast, The Mindful Kind, which I absolutely love. And again, I talk a lot about mindfulness. So, that's a bit about me and what I do.
Fantastic. And I absolutely adore your podcast. It's one of my must listen podcasts every single week. So thank you so much for bringing your wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
How would you explain mindfulness to someone who doesn't know what it is?
Sure. So, mindfulness to me is really about being present with openness and a curious attitude to kind of lean into the moment. So, whether you practice mindfulness by using mindfulness tools which help you to experience the now, or whether you just use simple practices like breathing techniques or tuning into the senses, mindfulness is really just about that presence and that non judgmental attitude towards being present and how you're feeling or your thoughts or your emotions.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like the whole concept around not placing judgment. I think it's an important element to remember when anyone embarks on the journey of mindfulness. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. It is. And it's hard to do. Like, it takes a bit of practice. Obviously, when you're feeling
Yeah.
stressed or you're feeling some kind of emotion that you are like, oh, I don't want to be feeling that, it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm going to let myself feel that and I'm not going to judge myself for feeling that way. It takes practice, but it's amazing when you start to notice that, hey, like I felt those things and I let myself feel those things and I wasn't hard on myself for feeling that way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I love that. So, would you mind sharing your daily mindfulness practice and what sort of tools you reach for throughout your day to day?
Yeah, okay. Well, my mindfulness practice changes every day. That's what I love about it. It's really fun. And I think that's why I love talking about mindfulness so much, is because there's so many different ways to practice it and to bring it into your life. And so I really love to encourage people to try new ways of being mindful, like whether you're using, a body mist or spray to stop and take a moment to breathe in the scent and appreciate that smell, or whether you're creating a bit of a mindful morning, so bringing mindfulness to your routine, like waking up first thing in the morning and taking a little bit of time to tune into the things that you can hear or the things that you can see, or your sense of touch as you lie in bed, the nice feeling of your pillow and doona. Mindful cooking is another one that I really love because I cook every day and I absolutely love it. And it's just one of those things that kind of naturally brings me into the moment. So it's about kind of finding different ways to practice being mindful, I guess. It's like, it's almost turned into a bit of a game for me, really. It's like, oh, what can I be mindful about today? What am I doing that is going to be supportive towards my mindfulness practice?
That sounds great. I guess what I'm hearing from you, Rachel, is that it really depends on what you actually do day to day, like what your lifestyle looks like. Because from my own experience, I think once you think about it and you set aside some time to consciously do something mindfully, then it doesn't really matter what it is. It just really matters that you place your attention to doing it. Would you say that would be correct?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And it's funny because quite a few of my clients come back to me and they ask me, like, oh, Rach, what do you think about me using mindfulness with this thing or with this thing? And I'm like, yeah, go for it. Like, if it brings you into the moment, that is being mindful. That's awesome. Go ahead for sure.
Yeah, you know what really made me laugh? I was reading through your beautiful mindfulness workbook that I could just see you poured your heart and soul into. And in the section around, cooking and meal prepping and shopping, you mentioned a little bonus tip around what you do with the bananas that you buy. And I
Yeah.
just love that. Can you share it with us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started practicing mindfulness, I was feeling a little bit frustrated because I would eat really quickly and then be like, oh, I forgot to be mindful again. I really wanted to practice this mindful eating and I couldn't seem to remember. I kept forgetting. So I was like, oh, well, you know what? I'll just choose one type of food and I'll practice with this one type of food and hopefully eventually it'll cross over to other different types of foods. So I decided, you know what, I eat quite a few bananas, so I'll write on the skin of all of the bananas MEM, which stands for mindfully eat me, and then I wouldn't forget anymore.
I
And I
love
love
that.
practicing that way. It's just fun. It's like finding fun little ways to bring more mindfulness into your day, really.
Exactly, and I think you really nailed it there. Making it fun rather than yet another thing to do in our lives and in our days. Because most people that I know and my friends and really people in general are very busy. We're living in the 21st century, a lot of distractions, social media, internet. So by default, how we structured our lifestyles, we are naturally quite busy and full of to-do lists, right?
For sure.
So before we make it a super complex thing, and for people that have never really ever practiced mindfulness, I thought the theme of our month this month is conscious breathing. And I thought, let's start with the basics, right? Let's start with breathing
Love it.
because we all do it, but we don't actually realize it, right? It happens automatically, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
However, there can be some conscious, mindful activity applied to also the art of breathing, in essence, and then what that actually does to your body, to your mindset, to how it can completely change your mood and how you feel about yourself and about whatever challenge you might have been dealing with. So, can you talk to us a little bit about the concept of breathing as a mindfulness practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Breathing is one of my favorite ways to practice mindfulness because it does go everywhere with you. Like we are always breathing and it's always just at our fingertips to remind ourselves, you know what, I'm just going to take one deep breath, even if it's just one deep breath.
Mm,
And you'll find it just centers you and grounds you into the moment. Even just that one little moment
mm,
can be all you need to decrease stress or to help you relax before bed, or if you're going into a pressure situation like an interview or anything, you just stop
mm,
and you take that deep breath and I feel the effects straight away. And there's so many different ways of doing it. I have written about it quite a bit in my ebook because it's something I am passionate
mm,
about. But one of my favorite ways to really tune into the breath is when I go for a mindful walk and breathing in rhythm with the steps that I take. So if you're taking 3 steps, breathing in for those 3 steps and then
mm.
breathing out for 3 steps, I just find that it's a really easy way to bring yourself into the moment, because when you're counting like that, you can't really be thinking about your to-do list and yesterday or
Yeah,
anything else. It's just a really simple but effective way to be present.
yeah. Sounds great. I actually will try that one because I love my walks, and I find it that's a perfect time and way to practice exactly that. I will share one of my breathing exercises I do, and it's a bit of a silly one, and sometimes people laugh at me. But
Sure.
yes, I work in a big open plan office, right? And you see everybody's business. You constantly walk past desks, and as I am standing in front of the printer and I'm printing out, and oftentimes you just stand there and do nothing, that is when I actually close my eyes and take deep breaths. And it just really takes me away from what I'm doing, where I am, any thoughts, and it's great. So for any of those of you guys who are working and thinking I have to leave mindful breathing or mindfulness to after work, don't feel that way because you can practice it anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I find that one a really good one because yeah, work can get stressful sometimes. So 3D breaths always do the trick.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, it's like you can practice mindfulness anywhere, just stopping and taking that little bit of time to tune in. I think it's amazing, really, how much opportunity there is for us to practice being mindful, and it doesn't take, any extra time out of your day. You're already doing the thing. So
Yeah,
if you're going to be standing there, you might as well practice conscious breathing. That's great.
yeah. So I guess it's just a reminder, right? Like to actually remember that hey, this is the opportunity for you to do this.
Mm.
So, maybe consciously pinpoint which parts of the day or what elements of what you do every day and you do regularly could potentially be where you slot this in, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what was the catalyst behind your decision of becoming a mindfulness advocate, Rachel?
Oh, well, this one it's kind of a big one for me, really. I was sort of already talking about mindfulness. I already had my podcast. I was already writing about it, but I hadn't really decided, yep, mindfulness is my thing, and I'm going to kind of not commit myself to this idea, but I was like, yes, this is my message, and this is what I'm here to share. So I was already doing these things, but I just wasn't quite there yet. So the catalyst for me actually was a phone call, and this phone call was about my dad had just been in an accident and was on his way to hospital, and I had no way to contact him. I had no way to kind of find out which hospital he was going to. I didn't really know what was going on, and I got off the phone, and there was nothing I could really do. I had to kind of wait for more people to contact me about what was happening, what was going on, and like a couple of years ago, that would have been the most incredibly stressful, horrible couple of hours, and I would have been so worked up and so just, horrified and feeling horrible and everything else like that. And instead, I got off the phone and I was crying a little bit, and I felt this overwhelming need to just practice breathing because I was breathing really shallow, really sharply, and the more that was going on, the more freaked out I was getting. So I basically just put my head in my hands and I just sat there for maybe 15 minutes. And at the start, my breath was really jagged and short and sharp. And I was crying too, which never really helped. But after a bit of time had gone by, I noticed that I was taking these deeper breaths because I was trying to. I was trying to practice this conscious breathing and just tune into like the feeling of the breath going in and out because it was quite a strong feeling. It was loud and it felt hard to breathe. So it really forced me to be into the moment. And then when the 15 minutes had gone by and my breathing had calmed down, I was able to function from a much better space. Like I was able to wait for these phone calls and put together a bit of an action plan and feel prepared and feel ready and feel calm rather than being out of control and freaking out and trying to do all these crazy things to, kind of try to fix the situation when I couldn't fix it. Like I just had to wait. So that was when I really realized, like, wow, this mindfulness stuff is powerful, like really powerful. And because I was kind of already doing quite a lot of things about it, I was like, whoa, this is this is it. Like, this is what I've got to share with people. So yeah, I guess that was the big thing that really pushed me over the edge of fully going into mindfulness.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing such a personal story.
Yeah. Oh, my dad's
That,
fine, by the way.
oh, good. I was just about to ask.
Yeah,
It's all
no, he's
good.
good. He was a bit banged up and
Fantastic.
broken bones and things, but yeah, he's recovered now. So
Good
I'm
news.
very grateful. That's great.
So I'm really glad that you touched on a little bit of the situation and how the breathing and how practicing mindfulness helped you also with your thoughts and the decisions that you had to make. And for yourself as well, knowing how to process this and what's going on around me, what's going on for me. So would you say that through mindfulness you also saw in your life changing of your thoughts and your mindset in general?
Yeah, definitely. Because really, the more mindful you are, the more aware you are in the present moment. So before, I was quite critical of myself, and I just didn't realize. Like, I was just having all these kind of negative thoughts about me and didn't even notice. And as soon as I started practicing mindfulness and getting more and more natural with it, I started to notice these things. And I was like, whoa, like, Rach, come on, that's not really true. And these are stories I've been telling myself for years and years that aren't true. And I was like, oh, okay, well, time to do something about that. Like, I don't want to think that about myself for the rest of my life. So that's when you have the opportunity. Mindfulness gives you these wonderful opportunities to change your thoughts and change your patterns and realize new things about yourself. Like, if I've told this story before about public speaking. I was terrified of public speaking, and I'm very introverted. And the whole idea of podcasting, I wouldn't have done it without mindfulness, because I've been telling myself my whole life, public speaking, I can't do it. I can't talk. I don't have a nice voice. No one wants to listen to the things I have to say, and all these things like that. If I'd kept thinking that, if I hadn't practiced mindfulness and I'd kept thinking those things, I would never have gone into podcasting. I would never have said yes to these events and workshops that are coming up for me now, because I would have been too afraid because of this thought that was going around in my head that I can't do it, I can't do it. And then I was like, I noticed this thought and I thought, well, I really would love to have a podcast. I would love to do some events. So why don't I start picking myself up with more positive, uplifting, and supportive thoughts? Like, Rach, you can do this, and you can grow, and you can learn, and you can practice. If this is something that you really, really want to do, then just practice. Like, you'll get better eventually. Maybe it'll take a few years, but that's okay. Like, just
Oh,
do it.
fantastic. And what a gift, because otherwise I would have never met you, right?
Exactly.
So, and
Exactly.
many, many other people around. So, spreading gifts and being able to teach your craft and share your experience and wisdom, for that, you need to actually show up, right? You need to put it out there and you need to have the courage to do it. So, well done for taking that step. And thank you.
Thank you.
So, just to wrap up, I would like to ask you one last question. Um, what advice would you give to someone who doesn't know how and where to start?
Well, I think that they would be in a great place. I mean, listening to you and I talking about mindfulness, that's the thing. Like, you just need to expose yourself to more and more people, more and more ideas. Read books about it. There's some great books about mindfulness, or you can listen to podcasts about it. I know that mine's not the only one out there. Read about it. You know, Google's just a click away.
Yeah,
There's so much opportunity to learn about mindfulness these days. And yeah, obviously, if you're here, then you want to learn more about it, which is awesome. Good for you. I'm
great.
really excited. I love mindful communities because everybody is just, there's just this feeling like of presence and non-judgment and curiosity and openness. And I love that. I think it's amazing. So I feel very grateful to be part of this wonderful movement. And yeah, it's definitely growing, I think. So Yay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Rachel. And I know you've got a lot of amazing tools to share with your audience and now with mine on your website. And you mentioned books and podcasts and other resources. But one of my favorite is your actual ebook on mindfulness. And I have been going through it very mindfully. Is it 44 from memory, 44 page ebook?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, it's
44
around
pages.
44, but filled with amazing advice and great worksheets. And it's a very practical, down to earth, and a very simple tool that I found invaluable. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And we might place a chapter around breathing onto the blog as well as part of this interview, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course, definitely. I'd love for you to share that. Definitely. I think it's the one on breathing is the one that I've been giving out to people
Yeah.
as a bit of a preview. So yeah, that's a great one after everything we've been talking about today.
Fantastic. So, lastly, where can people find you online?
Awesome. So my website is www.rachaelkable.com, and that's spelled Rachael, and it's Kable. Pretty much everything is there. I've got interviews there. I've got my blog. All my podcasts are there with the links to iTunes. My ebook. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I've got all the information there, and the events and workshops I've got coming up. It's my little home, my little mindful home.
Fantastic. And we love your mindful home.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and time and being here. The summary of this episode can be found on my blog at designbylife.com.au, together with links to Rachel's beautiful workbook on mindfulness and all the resources she just mentioned. And thank you so much for joining us, Rachel. I really enjoyed having you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was beautiful. And yeah, I hope that our learnings and our messages and everything can just keep reaching people. And yeah, thanks so much to you for having me. And thanks to anybody who's watching this.
Great, thank you. And for any of you guys who are keen to join my free Coloring for Mindful Living series and cultivate a positive mindset with mindfulness, please visit my free resource library on designbylife.com.au. Until next time, goodbye.